Huge sharks, guaranteed!
Guaranteed?
More fish than Finding Nemo!
Wow!
Ladies and gentlemen, behold the wonders of the deep!
This sucks. Yep.
We won't take you for a ride. Insurance is a promise to pay. At Beacon, we keep our promises.
Good evening, viewers, and welcome to another You Decide. I'm your host, Byron Campbell. This evening, our guests are the Honorable Nazim Burke, Minister of Finance, and the Deputy Political Leader of the National Democratic Congress. And with him also is the Minister of Youth Empowerment and Sports. He's the Honorable Patrick Simmons. And this evening, we are looking at the future of the National Democratic Congress. And of course, we have the Minister of Finance with us. We will, of course, be touching on some pertinent financial matters, that is, looking at the economy in general. Good evening, gentlemen, and welcome to You Decide. So it's our pleasure to have you.
Good evening to you, and it's our pleasure to be here.
Well, look, the big thing that's coming up for the National Democratic Congress is, of course, your convention on the weekend, that is on Sunday. I mean, bring us up to speed with the preparations that are taking place. Where are things for this upcoming convention?
Well, let me say first of all, Byron, thank you for having us here this evening. Our preparations are in full flight for the convention. As you know, this convention, which is set for Sunday, will take place at the SAS, St. Andrew's Secondary School. And we see this convention as perhaps the single most important convention in the recent history of the party. As you know, the party has gone through, within the last 2 years especially, a very difficult period during which there were a lot of internal differences that arose on what appeared to be policy issues as well as some other issues. It is difficult to say exactly which particular event may have caused it. The net result was that a group of members of the party decided that they wanted to go their separate way. They were not satisfied with the quality of leadership in the party. They felt that they can do a better job. They felt that they want to be in charge. And in essence, they decided to leave. The result is that as they departed, on the face of it, it appeared to some persons that the party was disintegrating, or the government was disintegrating, and things were falling apart. But beneath that outward appearance of fracture and disintegration was the revitalization of democracy within the party and the rebuilding of a new organization that is now, I believe, much better suited to the core values of the party, much more likely to achieve the objectives of the party, is likely to be much more unified as an organization, and is much better poised to win the next election. So that, in my mind, this particular convention will define the true core of the party, will define the direction of the party, will define the commitment of the party to its core values, and will present new individuals equally committed to the future of the party and to building Grenada. So we are quite excited about what we see as a very defining moment in the history of our party.
What, Honorable Simmons, what is the theme? Does the convention carrying a theme, a particular focus at this time? Yeah.
Yes, there is a team that was actually put together by members of the party. NDC building a new team to complete the mission. So in that context, we are looking at the mission that was started in 2008, and the team that we had to complete the mission, and now that the team is actually disintegrated, we have to start building over a new team, bearing in mind that the mission that we started off in 2008 must be completed.
Minister Burke, talk about the make reference to what was perceived as the disintegration, but where you've always spoken about being into the community and the youth upliftment. I mean, that's your portfolio anyway. But what are you hearing in the constituency from your constituency as regards the split, the disintegration, the infighting? What are the NDC supporters telling you? What is the community telling you?
Well, I think persons are generally very dissatisfied. They're very dissatisfied with the way things turn out, taking into consideration that they had placed a lot of trust and they really thought that things would have been different with this new administration coming into being in 2008. So I want to believe it's a whole feeling of mistrust and discontentment because of the way things actually played out. And something, I cannot really blame the people for having that type of feelings, because I myself too, do share with some of the hurt and the pain and the discontentment that they would have felt, especially over the last 2 years in terms of what evolved in the party.
I've heard you said, for example, I think it was a youth parliament, look, I do not want to die a politician. I do not want to spend one day more than I have to as a politician. Listening to you, I got a sense that, I didn't get a sense of enthusiasm or, look, I want to be there. I mean, what exactly were you saying?
Oh.
Or what feeling were you expressing there? Explain this.
Yes, I will.
Please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, that comment, we have to put it in context. It was a response to a comment made by a young lady. She made the point that politicians don't like to give up. They don't want to give up. They want to hold on to power. And even if they're getting aged, they're getting very old, but they want to hold on to power.
Yeah.
So I was saying to her, look here, with people like myself, you don't have to bother. I don't intend to spend 1 second more in politics than I have to. And at the same time, I don't want to die a politician. So that in itself is saying to you that I don't intend to hold on to power.
Yeah.
And you know something? That still stands. If it means that I have to remain 2 more days, I will do that. If it means I have to remain 2 more years, 5 more years, 10 more years, I will do it. But I don't intend to stay 1 second more and to prevent a young person from having the opportunity to serve this country.
It's in that context.
It is that context, yes.
Okay. Minister Burke, look, the NDC as elected in 2008 was a unified body with elected 11 members to Parliament. Now you face a position where 5 members have departed for various reasons, resignations and dismissals. So it is, in fact, you make mention that there's a new thrust, a new image that is, in fact, emerging. The question is, though, where is your constituency? Where is the membership of the party lies? Because primarily what's been happening is a juggling, is a infighting, it's a shifting of the executive members, the hierarchy, so to speak, of the party. But where is the membership? Where is the rank and file? Where do you place them right now? How are they dealing with these issues? Are they also divided?
In my view, no, they're not divided. In fact, I have to say that while I agree that the general membership of the party, and one might say the population as a whole, was disappointed with what happened recently. We detect within our party a new sense of hope, a new sense of expectation, heightened expectation, a new sense of optimism. That's the reality. And as among the ordinary members, this is quite noticeable and quite pronounced. In fact, they are solidly behind our political leader, Tillman Thomas.
What's the evidence to that?
The evidence is that if you look at what happened when the no confidence motion was brought by the New National Party, our party had not had a public manifestation, a mass public manifestation in about 2 years before that. When the no confidence motion was brought, the motion was wrongly defeated, as you know, and we decided to hold, in a matter of 3 or 4 days, we organized a public rally, which was a victory rally as far as the motion was concerned. We brought thousands of people into the Grenville car park, and the level of enthusiasm and support behind the political leader was manifest. People were wearing T-shirts saying no Tilly, no NDC. And that is the slogan that took them forward. When this was done, an event came up, as you know, on the 8th of July. Some person said they wanted to go to La Sagesse, I believe it was, or La Tante. The Prime Minister said he wanted to take the party to Guelph. The majority of persons, thousands of people, followed him to Guelph. And the same is true for the event in Tivoli recently as well. So in every case, and I should tell you also that several events were organized on Sundays as the Prime Minister went around the constituencies, what we call Solidarity Sundays. On every occasion, the support for the political leader was deep and widespread. So I have no doubt in my mind that they're solidly behind the political leader. They're feeling quite enthused by the new developments within the party. And I think they're very, very hopeful and optimistic at this time.
Okay, but this may be so. But again, look, we need to look at numbers too, Naz. Look, the NDC won by some 1,830 odd votes, just under 2,000 votes. Not a huge margin. In fact, yourself, Honorable Simmons, I think you won by what, 32 votes? 32 votes. Yes. Not a large margin. In fact, the Prime Minister won by 104 votes. Even in the town of St. George, the Honorable Peter David won by 236 votes. So the margin, Honorable Burke, you were the largest winner there by just over 1,000 votes. But generally, you had close margins. I mean, if you have, one must admit that some of those persons who have left the party for, they've said, like Peter David and Joseph Gilbert and so on, they would have had followers. I mean, I just want to be realistic here. And clearly, that narrows your margin. Are you concerned about this fact?
We are always concerned in elections because, as you correctly point out, elections are about numbers. Even though I won by 1,000 votes, I'm always concerned about numbers, and I'm always concerned about elections. Nobody should take an election for granted, not even where there's 1,000 votes difference. Nobody should take victory for granted in elections. Nobody should assume that he or she will win the election. You work to win and hope that you win, but you can never be sure that you'll win. In this particular case, I want to say to you that I have no doubt that every MP will have some followers. But I also have no doubt that the vast majority of people who decide these elections are not members of political organizations, are not members of parties. There's a difference between the NDC voter and the Grenadian voter. There's a difference between the NNP voter and the Grenadian voter. The vast majority of people sitting in the living rooms, watching the news, observing the conduct of individuals, watching the political trends and tendencies, listening to what people are saying, hearing the vision for the country, hearing the alternatives, hearing the imagination, hearing the sense of hope, hearing the expressions, looking at the faces and the demeanor to see whether they're saying truth or deceit. All of these things are judged by ordinary Grenadians who want the best for themselves, who want the best for their children. They are not NDC people. They will vote based on who they believe have the best prospects to deliver for the country and in their own name.
Realistically, look, again, the election 2008 was an election for change. There was a change agenda. The question is, did it happen? The same people you're talking about are going to make a decision, but one of the critical things they're going to be looking at is the state of the economy. How well did this government perform? Did they deliver on their promises? In other words, did the NDC, because it's the National Democratic Congress that was elected to office, did they perform? What is presently the nature of the performance of this party? Should we, as electorate, re-elect this party back to office?
I think based on performance in terms of the economy and some of the promises that were actually made in the manifesto, we stand a very good chance of being re-elected. However, if one was to focus on the issues within the party, I think that put us at a very great disadvantage. But notwithstanding that, I think that we have really delivered in a number of promises that we would have made to the electorates, and it is clearly noted in the manifesto.
Such like. Okay, give us an example.
Okay, if we go to focus on youth and sport, the area that I'm responsible for, we will see there are a number of things that were promised. that we said to the nation that we were going to come up with a new program to engage our young people. We did that. We also said to the nation that we are going to work on a sports policy. We did that. We said we were going to address the issues of our playing fields. We did that. We also said to the young people that in terms of the program, the youth program, we're going to ensure that we have a scholarship desk. We did that. So there are a number of things that we are able to deliver on and deliver within the 4 years. So
it would be remiss of me also to not, I want to take the opportunity to congratulate you personally and the ministry and its team and all who contributed to Kirani in champion the 400 meter at the Olympics. I mean, congratulations on that. Yes. Absolutely. And we'll talk about that, but we have to go to a break. When we come back, we want to make a brief reflection on the state of the economy. Please stay with us.
Sudden Waste Limited offers professional septic tank clearance at unbeatable prices. At Sudden Waste Limited, you dump it, we pump it, and we also disinfect it. Located in River Road, St. George's next to Steve's Auto, Sudden Waste Limited for professional septic tank clearance. Also available portable toilets, garbage collection, and garbage bins. Call us today, 435-DIRT. That is 435-3478. Sudden Waste Limited. You dump it, we pump it.
It doesn't matter how many times you've failed. It doesn't matter how much you've heard it can't be done. It doesn't matter how long you've been waiting or asking. No matter what, we believe in smiling again and never giving up. Never give up. Vitamalt takes care of you.
Grenada, Carriacou, and Pidimont, this one will be huge! Saturday, September 29, National Stadium! Brace yourself as Megaforce Promotions presents another Mega Bingo! Just spend $1 million! It's another Megaforce Promotions Mega Bingo! This time you can win $100,000 in cash! $100,000 in cold cash! Vibes just can't done with all this money. And here it is, your tickets cost only $50. First game starts at 6 p.m. Live band music, DJ Camus and Heavy D. Organize your party now for this trend of year. $100,000 in cash money bingo to be won. Saturday, September 29th. Endorsed by Carib. Real beer is Carib.
Pure, clean, refreshing. A-Tang, premium purified water. Produced by the Grenada Bottling Company.
Welcome back, viewers. We're here with Honorable Nazim Burke, Minister of Finance, Deputy Political Leader, and Honorable Patrick Simmons. He's a Minister responsible for youth upliftment and sport. Gentlemen, before the break, we said, look, we want to take a peek into the economy. Minister Burke, look, we are in the third quarter of the year. The fourth quarter begins, in fact, next Monday. Tell us exactly how the Grenadian economy has performed for the past 9 months, and what would be the expectations going forward towards the end of the year?
We are still trying to pull the numbers together for the third quarter, but for the first quarter we experienced positive economic growth. The second quarter was quite sluggish, in fact leveled off considerably, while our projections were that the economy would do between 1.5% and 2% for the course of this year. We have revised those numbers downward because we believe that we are probably likely to realize something closer to 0.5% in economic growth this year. The fact of the matter is that we have observed that sluggishness in part because of the downturn in the world economy itself. I think that it is no secret that our economy is tied to the European economy, is tied to the US economy, and in Europe especially, they have been experiencing a relapse into recession. Yes, countries can go in and out of recessions, and that's something which, I mean, we've had some discussion about in the past. But it has been a difficult second quarter. And I think that this has been the result of a number of factors, especially the economic slowdown, and that has affected our revenue streams. So that revenues have not been as buoyant as they have been. The VAT has done well, but some of the other taxes have not done as well. And things tend to slow down, revenues tend to slow down when the economy slows down, which of course means that we've not been able to realize our revenue targets as they were at the beginning of the year. It has also been a challenge with respect to grants. We have not done as well in grants as we expected to do. And I think generally speaking, this has impacted on the revenue situation. I must say that because of these challenges, our ability to finance our capital program has been affected somewhat. And the focus has been really on trying to maintain jobs as they are short-term employment, trying to ensure that on the projects that are actually on stream, try to service the debt obligations as they become due, whether we're talking about the Caribbean Development Bank or the World Bank, because I think everyone who understands how these multilateral agencies function, they know that if you do not pay these debts, it will freeze the flow of resources. And you can't, if for example we are owing the CDB money and we don't pay the CDB, they will stop the flow of funds to the Grenville projects. So we must pay those. And while there's a lot of talk about paying the debts or not paying the debts and creating jobs, we can't take that approach. So creating jobs has been a challenge for government because largely because of the financing constraint that I spoke about, our ability to raise the counterpart financing that is often required by many of these projects has not been the best.
Earlier this month, the private sector organizations, primarily the Trade Union Council, the Tourism Association, the Employers Federation, they met to discuss the economy, and they describe what they describe as a current economic crisis. In other words, they perceive that there was an economic crisis. Would you concur that there is an economic crisis?
Yes, we've been in that crisis, I think, since 2007, 2008, and we've not gotten out. And those who have spoken about this economic recession that we're in have indicated, many of those have indicated that this can last for some time between 5 and 7 years. We have been in this since September 2008. That's when it was officially announced and recognized with the commencement of the financing crisis. But even before that, the Grenadian economy was in very serious difficulty. I think it is important for us, when we assess what this government has done and what it has managed to do and what we have achieved, one must go back to look at where we took the economy. Fairness requires it. You can't ask what we've done and assess what we've done and judge what we've done without looking back on what we found, what we inherited. And I think it's important to say that. When we got into office, the Grenadian economy had the lowest credit rating of any country in the Caribbean. Any country in the Caribbean. This was according to Standard & Poor's in their report of July 2008. Our public debt stood at $1.7 billion. This was the fourth highest debt per capita of any emerging economy in the world. Our situation was that monthly obligations of the government stood at roughly $56.6 million. Revenues coming in were $39 million, a gap of $17.6 million each month. Unpaid claims stood at $53 million. At that time, the government projected that the overall fiscal deficit for 2008 was going to be $81.5 million. For the first half, they projected it was going to be $40.5 million. By June, the deficit was $78.8 million. That's for the first 6 months. Yes, almost the entire amount for the year that was projected. I want to say that in 2006, the government collected $132 million in grants. By 2007, that amount fell to $17.3 million in grants, 18% of what they had collected then. taxes, unpaid taxes in the government, in the country, stood at $207 million that were not paid. Yes? So the situation was a dire financial situation, and the credit agency, Standard & Poor's, when they gave the report in July, they said that this particular situation that we were facing were the result of 5 things. And it's important to mention those. High debt levels, little progress in reducing the debt, poor fiscal discipline, lack of strategic planning, and a lack of political will to address the country's fiscal and structural problems. Yes? So they made the point that you would not be able to pull the country out of this situation if you did not address the fiscal issues and the structural issues facing the economy. In other words, there was a management problem, and it had to be tackled. We could not avoid it. They went on to point out, and I think this is also important, that Standard & Poor's said in Grenada, the political environment has been equally polarized amid persistent allegations of NNP lack of transparency and mismanagement. And they quote, "As Belize and now Grenada show, the overwhelming victory of the opposition party is a clear response to the mismanagement, corruption, and consequently electoral dissatisfaction with the ruling party, which was in office for many consecutive years." I'm not making this up. Standard & Poor's, one of the top-rated credit rating agencies in the world, described the economy in this way. So this is what we inherited, and this is what we had to pick up.
Okay, so this is going back. But,
yes.
but Mr. Buck, let's move forward, because the last budget, for example, you presented, I mean, some of the things you said, for example, you noted that the economy was now out of recession.
Yes.
You said that you presented a budget of just over $1 billion, in fact, $1.023 billion, yes, of recurrent $788 million, yes, capital $235. Did you put forward was it unrealistic? Did you set unrealistic high expectations from the public? And in other words, in looking back, in hindsight, because I would then follow up with a question, what level of deficit do you project towards the end of the year?
No,
what has changed?
Well, let me say, in hindsight, I do not think that we were unrealistic in our projections. When we presented the budget, we said that there were things that we were working on that we identified as potential sources for closing the budget, which we did not discuss during the budget presentation itself. Yes. I can tell you today that we had identified 3 very important sources of revenue that we felt would help us to close the gap. The first was that we anticipated that through the adjustment that we had made between in the Chinese housing program, we can realize as much as $40 million US, because we, as you perhaps knew already, the Chinese government had graciously agreed to give the government of Grenada 2,000 housing units. The overall size of that package was $80 million US. We had negotiated with the Chinese government and said to them, instead of giving us 2,000 housing units, give us 1,000 housing units instead. And while it is not a straight linear relationship, we figured that the savings from that, which would be approximately, we said, 40 million, we can then use to help to finance our programs, including, in particular, the construction of the National Stadium, the new football stadium, including what we saw as between $10 and $15 million being spent on housing and home improvement, because we felt that instead of waiting for these houses to be built 8 or 9 years from now, many of the families who had had their houses damaged since Hurricane Ivan and have not had repairs, if we can get some of this monies in hand, we will then be able to give them, whether it's 4 doors or 10 sheets of galvanized, help them to live in better conditions. So we said we will commit between 10 and 15 million US dollars towards that construction program, and we'll do the same, about $10 million towards community development projects, because our anticipation was that the stadium was going to cost between 10 and 15 million US dollars for the restoration. We saw it then as a restoration. We were not thinking of breaking that down and building a new stadium. We saw that as a restoration. So this was a potential $40 million that we saw as that can be injected into the economy. Yes. The second potential source that we saw was the Citizenship by Investment Program. We had spent 6 months from September until March, more or less, or 5 months on working on it, designing a program which took into account the experience, the structure, the design of many other countries, including St. Kitts Nevis, the country which has had perhaps the longest running program of its sort, of this kind, since 1984. And we then decided to build into their program, improve on their program, and build into our program a number of safeguards which we felt will protect the integrity of our passport, the integrity of our citizenship, and ensure that we can generate some monies. They were making hundreds of thousands of dollars from this, and we felt if we can do something like this, we will get some money in it and protect the name of the country. We hired the law firm of Henley and Partners, one of the largest immigration law firms in the world, in fact, the largest in the world, and one of the most experienced in these matters. With their help, they projected that we would realize $50 million US from the project in the first year, since we were doing it at that time. We were conservative and said, let us budget for 25 instead of that 50. I must tell you that, and I can say this here, that those who heard our articulation of that program on George Grant's program from outside the country, including one government, called us and said, please send us the program. We've heard in here.
Your colleagues did not support the program.
Well, I'm saying, this is one of the sources that we identified. Yes,
but the point, I mean, this is good information. But Mr. Buck, going to the crux of the matter, what level of deficit do you anticipate in view of the crisis, in view of the downturn in the economy?
I'm telling you what we saw.
Because what you're saying, I know, but the reality will be you will not be realizing those monies.
Right, but the question that you asked me previously was whether or not what I was saying was, at the time I said it was unrealistic, and I'm trying to say to you, it was not.
But you didn't have the support of your colleagues at the time.
Well, no, I did not have the support of my colleagues in respect of the
investment.
Yes.
Yeah, the citizen
at the time.
Yes.
But we did agree that we will continue to take it out to the public. Yes.
Okay.
We'll continue the consultation.
Okay.
And the third thing that I ought to mention is that we had identified some shares which we felt that government held, which we felt we can divest, which would bring us as well somewhere between 17 and 20 million US dollars. So we were not simply pulling numbers out of the sky.
Yeah.
We felt it was possible. Things have not turned out the way that we anticipated, but we have continued nonetheless. We have been challenged. I want to say to you that one of the challenges that we have faced, I've heard the criticisms. The irony is that those who are criticizing are themselves the architect of the problem. That is the irony of the whole thing. I don't want to blame anybody, but that's the reality.
Your colleagues have in fact been critical of you in saying that within the your parliamentarian colleagues in saying that they've been waiting on a financing plan for the budget and it's not been forthcoming.
Who is waiting on it?
Well, your colleagues. In fact, one of Minister, he's no longer Minister, MP Hood, proposition as regard the vote of no confidence was exactly one of those points. Where is the financing plan?
Well, I don't know. You have to ask Minister Hood if he understands.
No longer Minister, MP
Mr. Hood, if
MP
he understands what is a financing plan. You have to ask him.
This is in fact one of his. But a more critical question, Minister, is the question of salaries. And today is the 26th of September, end of the month is Friday. Could you tell us exactly whether public servants and pensioners will be paid on time?
That is my expectation, yes.
That is your expectations. Yes. Fine. We talk a lot of economy, but I want to, Minister Simmons, you were there. Minister Burke mentioned about the stadium. I mean, there's a lot of excitement about that in terms of to be called the Karani James Athletic Football Stadium. What stage is it at? I mean, will it happen under the NDC watch? I mean, given where things are, to be realistic here.
What are you implying?
Well, I'm implying. Let me tell you what I'm implying. I'm implying that the government as existed has lost 5 of its members. It cannot say with any certainty that it commands the majority in the House. So if it goes to the House, and we touch about that given time, that it's not certain whether it will command the majority there. So there's uncertainty about the life of the government. So relative to that, the state of the project, I mean, you don't have a lot of time.
Okay. Yes, well, where we are right now is that we are waiting words, or actually the documents from our Chinese counterpart from China. That is the final document that they will have to send in so that we will be able to peruse it on the site, which will be done by the Ministry of Works. And after that has been done, we are to travel to China to make the final sign-in, and then the project is expected to start before the end of the year.
What is the extent of the renovation or the reconstruction that you anticipate?
Actually, it is anticipated that it will last for 18 months. The part of it will be demolished and part will be strengthened. In terms of the seating capacity, it would be 7,000 and something. The bleachers would be standing. So overall, probably could have close to 9,000, capacity, 9 to 10,000 capacity.
New track.
Yes, definitely. We have the new Mondo track. Together, the football field itself
must
have
be
to be
excited
redone.
about this.
Of course. It's a very good project. It's a project that I think will benefit a lot of our athletes, and that in itself too would put us in a better position to deal with the issue of sports tourism as it relates to track and field and soccer.
Okay, we have to take a short break here. Viewers, please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Harmony, the complete balance of the senses. Sight, sound, smell, touch, create your state of harmony in no time at all with the Baron Gourmet Collection. Baron, we make food tasty.
Spice Basket presents Mystical Magic, a collage of illusions and tricks from some of the best magicians from the USA, featuring Roger Kwan and Broadway performer Andy Roberts, along with other spectacular performances from our very own performers. School's Matinee, Friday, September 28th, 1 p.m. 2 shows on Saturday, September 29th, 3 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. Tickets available at all Gittins Pharmacies, Chopsticks, and Kelly's Hot Spot in Guam. Children $15, adults $25. Bring out the entire family to experience the magical moments that will never be forgotten. 3 magical shows, Friday, September 28th and September 29th at the Spice Basket, home of Grenada's culture.
Superior one-on-one customer service. Phenomenal products customized to your individual style and need. Fast and efficient service are all attributes that have made St. Louis the leading manufacturers of windows and doors for over 30 years in St. Lucia. And we are now pleased to extend our services to you. Try our new single-hung windows, which can be tilted for easy cleaning. Our famous casement windows, which locks with keys for added security. Our gliders, projected aluminum and heavy sliding windows, sliding and commercial doors, commercial shop fronts, and more. Visit us today, building number 19 Frequente Industrial Park, St. George's, or call us at 439-6538.
I just want you back for good. Live on Community Channel 6 every Saturday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's Sound System Saturday.
Welcome back, viewers. I want to tell you, I've just been handed a note here to tell you that Flow advises its customers that we are currently experiencing a temporary interruption in our telephone services. The engineers are working to correct the problem, so we sincerely apologize. Let's please stand by. This should be repaired shortly. Minister Burke, you're bounded by the Constitution, not just you, but the government, the Parliament, Chapter 5 on Finance, Section 3, to obtain parliamentary approval for borrowing of money. The Treasury was short on funds to pay salaries. You needed to borrow money, meaning the government needed to borrow money. Is raising funds from the NIS via the purchasing of government bonds not the same as borrowing, and therefore needing parliamentary approval?
Raising funds by the issuance of bonds will amount to borrowing, yes.
And therefore requiring parliamentary approval?
Yes.
But my information is that Parliament did not approve this matter.
Which matter?
The matter where funds were borrowed. Well, I'm to understand this. Funds were borrowed for the payment of salaries.
That's the problem. I think your understanding is not factually safe, you see.
Well, correct me, please.
Yeah, in other words, we are not, the government is not raising any bonds. If we raise bonds, we'll have to go to the Parliament. That is correct. But we have not been raising.
So the government did not borrow monies from the NIS?
No, I'm not.
Or raise bonds purchased by the NIS for the financing of government expenditures?
No, the government has not raised any bonds or floated any bonds without parliamentary approval. That has not been done at all. And you see, it is unfair to ask me to simply respond to rumors. I can't.
No, well, correct me then.
The government has not raised any bonds or floated any bonds without parliamentary approval. We respect the Constitution and we will try to do so. What we can say is that government finances its operations in the normal course by treasury bills, by bonds, by other operations, by borrowing, and we try to stay within the limits of our responsibility. That is so. We don't go about just issuing bonds without permission. We can't do that.
Let's move back a bit to the struggle that we've seen within the NDC. We recognize that there is a division, there is a split. The so-called rebels, they've been referred to as that, have now indicated to all that they do not intend to contest the elections for positions at the NDC conventions. Is that, in your view, an indication of victory by the other side? I mean, by the Prime Minister's followers, because that's how the split is recognized. Yes? I mean, the fact that one side has said, look, you know, we are leaving it, we are not going to contest it, we are staying away. In fact, Ali Gill was on television tonight, making it very clear that he's no longer a part of the NDC. He's removed himself. Is that, how do you interpret this?
Well, from my recent experiences with party politics, I would be very skeptical. I would view that as a strategy. I really can't tell exactly what the strategy is all about, but I don't think that after one would have want to struggle to gain political power, and all of a sudden to just withdraw.
Well, Peter David, the Honourable Peter David, has in fact informed, he's reported, that he has informed the Prime Minister that he does not intend to contest for any executive position, any positions at the upcoming convention. I mean, clearly, and he went public with this, I don't think he can come forward and change his mind.
Okay. If somebody tell me tomorrow, please God, that the opposition leader is an NDC, I wouldn't be surprised. No, the way politics is party politics, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
So if the MP said that he would not contest and on Sunday he come and contest, I wouldn't surprise. I wouldn't be surprised. No. So I think it's just probably what we need to do now is to just we have to anticipate and wait to see what will be the next move. So you have to be proactive in that regard, and guard against any possibility that something else other than what has been mentioned could happen.
Some of these same persons, Peter David, for example, and others, have put forward as the main reason for the problems within the NDC as a failure of the leadership to give in to democracy. But Minister Burke, you kind of gave, you in your introduction earlier on, I got a different spin on that. You kind of say now the party has an opportunity to be truly democratic, but the other side is saying, hey, you don't want to give in to democracy. So both sides are claiming democracy.
Is that the old line of march or the new line of march?
That's
not what I'm hearing today. I'm hearing today that Nazim Burke is the problem. All the guns are turned at me. They say I have no problems with Tillman Thomas. All of a sudden, they become his lover. You know, I've heard these stories. Yeah. At one time they called him a dictator. At one time they called him a religious zealot. They were pushing this news throughout the Caribbean every night on Caribbean 360 and Carib Update and other voices in the region. Today, they're saying we have no problems with him. Nazim Burke is the problem. Yeah.
Were they specific?
I'm asking
were they specific?
I don't know. I'm asking you, which line, which story are we, which one are we listening to, and which one are we taking seriously? You know, I have heard these comments. I try not to respond to them because I really do not believe, Byron, that it is in my best interest as an individual to be engaged in any kind of exchange of insults with with people that I've worked with politically. If we are on a different political side, we are political adversaries, and we are engaged in a political battle, I will have to defend my political philosophy, and I will do so vigorously. But the idea of hurling insults and threatening people and saying you're going to get people and so on, I don't want to participate in that kind of stuff. I find it really distasteful, and I think that most Grenadians find it distasteful. Everybody knows I'm quite capable of defending myself, you know, but I don't feel the need to get into this kind of personal exchanges at all, frankly.
The PM responded to MP's Hood motion when he filed that motion of no confidence. Let me tell you some of the things he said. He said that the action was a blatant act of disobedience and dishonor. It is highly unpatriotic, reckless, self-serving, and disrespectful to the people of Grenada. But fundamental in that motion, because what that motion headed was saying, look, calling for the dissolution of Parliament and the calling of first election. I mean, that was a preamble on which that motion was based, specific. And this seemed to be a fundamental right in any democracy, the right of recall. Was the Prime Minister, in your view, challenging that specific right when he was talking about reckless and self-serving?
Not at all, you see, because it is not a fundamental right for any MP to call in a resolution, or for the Parliament to call by way of, or to pass by way of resolution a motion calling for the dissolution of the Parliament. You see, the prerogative of dissolution of the Parliament resides exclusively with the Governor General, whose conduct is never challenged by any respectable member of Parliament. So when you bring a motion before the Parliament asking MPs to call for the dissolution of the Parliament, it's a slap in the face of the Governor General. And if you understand that, if you understand the basics of parliamentary democracy, and you have any integrity as a member of Parliament, you will never do that. What is worse is that we went to the Parliament, former Prime Minister Mitchell, who had been in the Parliament for 28 years and who ought to have understood this. We went to the Parliament, he called for the dissolution. I rose before that motion began, and I asked I told the Parliament that I was moving a motion to strike that paragraph from his motion because it offended the sensitivities of the Parliament and it offended the integrity of parliamentarians. And so I moved a motion that at best the motion be amended to remove that paragraph from it. MP Hood was there. He saw this, he heard it, he observed it, he heard the Speaker explain that it is improper to bring such a motion before the House. Notwithstanding this, he has brought a motion asking for the same thing in the same language verbatim. What does that tell you? Who prepared that motion? Is it Hood or is it the MNP? Who really prepared that motion? And if it is Hood that prepared that motion, where is his sense of reason and judgment? How could he have heard all of this, seen all of this, if he has a present mind, and yet repeat the same thing before the House? If you were a citizen sitting in his constituency and he did that, would you not be ashamed? How would you feel about your MP who is displaying that level of ignorance about this issue? How would you feel about it? You see, I don't want to launch any personal attacks on anybody. I'm just saying to you, when the Prime Minister said that the motion was dishonorable and disrespectful, I take no issue with it. I agree with him 100%.
But disobedience? He was disobedient?
Well, I don't know if he was disobedient.
Okay, all right. That's fair. The whole issue now of the prorogation of Parliament, the administration is accused of prorogating Parliament to hang on to power. I mean, this has been widely, the leader of the opposition has repeated this numerous times, and the reason put forward is that Parliament is fractured and pose a threat to the administration, the survival of the administration. So what? You rule by decree. But why prorogation at this time? I mean, anyone can answer this.
No, but Byron, I think...
because, no, this is what the opposition is saying, the leader of the opposition is saying. In fact, some of the, and I like to refer to them as the rebels because one side has referred to them as such, that they're saying, look, well, in fact, on a town hall meeting, we heard the chairman of one of those meetings saying, bring back the Parliament, bring back the Parliament. It's as though the Parliament, one get the sense, has been hijacked. You know, this is what's been communicated.
Hijacked by who?
No, it appears that way. This is what has been repeated. No, this is what has been repeated. Yeah. So they're saying bring back the Parliament. Yes. Because the government, the fact, let me explain a little further here. The fact that, and I think we touched on this earlier on, the fact that you have a 15-member seat, House, 15-member in Parliament, 4 in the opposition, the ruling party is 11, 5 is left, you have 6. So 6 versus 9. Potentially, that is, you know. This is the thinking. And so there is a cry from the political oppositions, if we could call it that, the backbenchers and the official opposition, to open the Parliament.
Yes, but as a rational thinking Grenadian, and as a person who has lived here, who has observed the practices, the political practices in our country, who has seen the Parliament open, who has seen the Parliament prorogued in the past, has seen throne speeches brought to the Parliament, read before the Parliament, who have seen the sessions of Parliament close and open, you would know, and the Grenadian public understands fully, that every year the Parliament is prorogued. Every year the Parliament is prorogued. And that prorogation, that period of prorogation, ends with the opening of the Parliament, the opening of a new session, in which His Excellency the Governor General reads the throne speech and sets out the policy for the government. This was the case in 1996, as it is in 2007, as it is in 2008. Every year this happens. Now this year, the opposition is saying, don't do it. Don't prorogue. Prorogue every other year, but don't prorogue this year. Why should we not prorogue this year? Because if we do not prorogue this year, the opposition will have an advantage.
The context is different.
What is the context?
Context meaning that you now have, I would call it massive, but serious resignations and dismissal. You know, the probability that the high probability that is, that you no longer carry the majority in the House.
So when you have a minority government, you should not prorogue the Parliament. What about Canada? They are proroguing the Parliament when they have minority governments. What about other countries? St. Vincent, when they did. Why would you not prorogue simply because you have a minority government? That's not It is not the business of the government to decide that it must do what the opposition wants it to do in order to give the opposition a political advantage. It's silly. We can't simply respond to the demands.
So the prorogation has to do with the political advantage?
No, the prorogation has to do with the normal practice of the parliament. The call not to prorogue has to do with the political advantage.
Okay, we have to take a short break here. Viewers, please stay with us.
Jockey's Motors, huge shots guaranteed. Guaranteed? More fish than Finding Nemo.
Wow!
Ladies and gentlemen, behold the wonders of the deep.
This sucks. Yep.
We won't take you for a ride. Insurance is a promise to pay. At Beacon, we keep our promises.
Grenada, Carriacou and Piedmont Bay. This one will be huge. Saturday, September 29, National Stadium. Brace yourself as Megaforce Promotions presents another Mega Bingo. Just spend $1 million. It's another Megaforce Promotions Mega Bingo. This time you can win $100,000 in cash, $100,000 in cold cash. Vibes just can't done with all this money. And here it is, your tickets cost only $50. First game starts at 6 p.m. Live band music, DJ Camus and Heavy D. Organize your party now. For this spend of year, $100,000 in cash money bingo to be won. Saturday, September 29th. Endorsed by Carib. Real gear is Carib.
Love the land you live on. The land is simply awesome and majestic. It feeds, clothes, and shelters us. The land protects us from the Hurricane Ivans of the world. Provides clear crystal waters 24/7. Could you imagine life without the land? I want you to ask yourself this question. Why sadly around the world and in Grenada, lands are slowly dying, slowly dying. With our bad practices every day, my land, your land disappearing, is disappearing. Is what we call land degradation. It show up as soil erosion, post-soil and loss of vegetation. That's how we degrade this Spice Island. With landslides, slippage and dying mangrove, to name a few. So here's what I want you to do. No one wins from land degradation. The power is in your hands to stop it today. Begin sustainable land management and love the land you live on.
Sept Waste Limited offers professional septic tank clearance at unbeatable prices. At Sept Waste Limited, you dump it, we pump it, and we also disinfect it. Located in River St. George's next to Steve's Auto, Sept Waste Limited for professional septic tank clearance. Also available portable toilets, garbage collection, and garbage bins. Call us today, 435-DIRT. That is 435-3478. Sept Waste Limited. You dump it, we pump it.
Pure, clean, refreshing. A-Tang, premium purified water. Produced by the Grenada Bottling Company.
Welcome back, viewers. We're here tonight with the Honorable Nazim Burke, Minister of Finance, and Honorable Patrick Simon, Minister for Youth Upliftment and Sports. And again, I am here with this sad news that Flow advises its customers that we are currently experiencing a temporary interruption in the telephone services. The engineers are working, but it appeared that they would not be able to accept any calls for this program because the problem remains. Again, we thank you for your patience and understanding in this period. Minister Simmons, the leader, the Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Tillman Thomas, the leadership of the NDC, leadership of the government has come under severe criticism. In fact, the last came from the resigning Honorable Glennis Roberts, again questioning the leadership the Honorable Tillman Thomas. Well, what's your take on this? What do you see? What's your reaction to this?
Well, when I look at leadership, I don't take into consideration the individual. I look at leadership from a broad perspective in terms of the party and in terms of the government. The way that I view it is that what happens within the organization reflects to a great extent the leader. Okay, but in terms of providing leadership for the organization, it comes from not only the leader himself, but other persons within the organization. So therefore, I could find 10 reasons why I must not support the honorable leader, and I could still find 10 reasons why I can support the leader. So it depends on how I view leadership and how I intend to treat with what I'm seeing. Now, I could do things to make the leader look good in the eyes of the public, or I could do things to make the leader look bad in the eyes of the public. And I can do things to make the leadership of the government, of the party, the same way too. So in other words, it all depends on what my intentions are and what motivates me in order to support or not to support the leadership.
Bottom line, we see a leader, the honorable who's the leader is the prime minister. He's the leader of the head of the National Democratic Congress. There's been issues that have remained unresolved. It ended up in the split up of the party. Yes. Affecting, some have said affecting the economy, affecting the state of affairs. Should we make a judgment call on our leader in this instance?
Well, that's the point I'm making. It all depends on how you view it.
How you view it?
Well, it's very clear how I view it. As I said to you, I could find 10 reasons why I shouldn't support the Prime Minister, and I get 10 reasons why I could. And the 10 reasons why I could is the reason why I'm here still. And I have no intention to move in terms of resigning or anything of the sort. So in other words, I'm prepared to work with whatever leadership that I have and that is given to me, because that is what was given to me at the beginning. I'm not saying that the political leader is the best leader that I ever worked with. I see shortcomings, and I guess just the same way too with where I worked before. Persons will have identified shortcomings, but it's how we intend to treat with it.
Yeah, but you're part of an organization here for the fourth time. You've seen that your leader saying, I extend best wishes to you on your future endeavors. I mean, do you get concerned? I mean, that you're losing your core?
No.
You're wondering whether the Minister of Finance is going to resign next week?
If the Minister of Finance decides to resign, I would be surprised, because that's the way. From what I'm seeing, that's the way party politics operate. Person seems to, for whatever reason, they will find reasons to do what they want to do. If you want to find reasons to stay, you'll find reasons to stay. If you want to find reasons to go, because I will tell you, I'll show that when whatever happens, whatever evolves later on, the same persons would find problem with whosoever leads them. That is just a state of mind, and what motivates and what spurs you on in order to do what you really want to do. I could find reasons why I shouldn't like my father. I could give 100 reasons why I shouldn't support my father, but he's my father. I'll have to. So you see, you cannot look at leadership in isolation, and you cannot look at leadership and picking on one person and saying, well, this person did this.
You're the Minister of Youth Upliftment, and this is different too. I mean, you're a position, when you talk about upliftment, it's like the opposite to marginalization. You want to see the development of the young people. You see this as a future. Grenada is we're in the 21st century moving forward, and leadership is now crucial. Are you prepared to go forward with the leadership that you've experienced for the past 4 years? Do you think this is adequate, sufficient, and appropriate for Grenada in the 21st century going forward?
When you say the leadership, you're talking about the Prime Minister, you're talking about...
Well, Yes, the Prime Minister I'm talking about in this instance. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm prepared to go forward.
Yeah.
So long as I get the opportunity and I accept the opportunity to present myself to the constituency and to go on to the next general election.
Mr. Burke, is this leadership inspiring for you, sir?
Yeah, well, I'll put it this way. I am part of the leadership.
Yes,
you see,
you're a deputy political leader. Yes, of course.
So I can't ask myself if I'm inspiring myself.
Yeah.
You see, I think it's important to recognize this distinction.
Yeah.
We have a political leader, but the leadership of the party constitute a group of persons, hopefully of like mind, with capacity, with character, with talent, with patience, with human virtues that we all recognize as important, who are competent, who are efficient, who are patient, who are tolerant, who are capable of working with others, who are not arrogant, who recognize that to be effective in an organizational endeavor, you must submit to the will of the collective. You must agree that some things may work entirely in accordance with your preferences and other things may not. And therefore, I can't be in an organization and just look at one individual and say, he is the leader.
Yeah, but the difference, Honorable Naz,
I'm a leader.
Yeah, I know. But the difference here, Naz, is our constitution. Our constitution seemed to give a leader, the Prime Minister, significant powers. And you see, that's the difference here. I understand.
I don't see that as a difference. I'm sorry. The Constitution gives a lot of power to the Prime Minister, but the Constitution gives a lot of power to ministers of government. And before you become a minister, you take an oath to follow the Constitution and to serve. That's what this whole thing is about. Service. So if I do not like something that Minister Simmons does, I wouldn't resign, because I deprive myself of the opportunity to serve. And if I really believe in public service and I live for public service, right, I relish the opportunity to serve. I relish the opportunity to be part of that process in that building the country. So I'm not going to resign because I don't like a particular incident or particular event.
In terms of the issues with it that occurred within the NDC, do you believe that reasonable care, reasonable attention, reasonable initiative went on the part of the leadership to resolve them?
I think so.
Well, what happened involved not only the leader, but the leadership.
Leadership, that's what I said.
Involved the whole leadership. I think that more could have been done. From where I sit, I think more could have been done.
Did you do all you could have done as also
I'm the rookie. I'm the rookie in that packet. Who listening to Simmons?
You always seem to belittle yourself. I don't believe that.
No. I ain't belittling myself.
Well, when you say belittle, what I mean is you're diminishing your influence.
No, I'm not. You see, you have to know where you are.
Yes.
You have to know when to speak and when to shut up.
Yeah.
So I have always pride myself in knowing when to speak and when to shut up, and looking at what is happening around me and knowing how to position myself. So if I'm viewed as the rookie, then
you're no longer the rookie.
Well, I guess. Well, as I said to my comment a couple of days ago, it seems to me like Mike was placed under my feet. Doesn't want me to go up so fast.
Exactly.
Politically.
Yeah.
But I think much more could have been done, not only from the leader perspective, but from all the leadership.
Yes.
The whole leadership of the organization.
Yeah.
You know, because number of things were tried, but it seems to me that what would have influenced persons to behave the way that they behave was stronger than the will to really solve the problem at that time.
You know, because I heard people saying, look, that the Palestinians who kill each other, they saw the need to come to work together, to resolve, to compromise, and why? Why could the NDC not find a way, a mechanism to focus on the goal, which is the welfare of the people of the country?
Well, you know? I don't know if it is fair to say the NDC. Some members of the NDC. Well, I remain completely focused on what I'm doing. Every morning I get up, I think about my responsibilities and my job. Every single day.
For example,
I don't spend my time fighting.
Some of the key people. I mean, let's Peter David, for example. If a colleague you know well, you law partners. One would have expected that given the history of working on business relationship, and colleagues, that there would have been the basis for cooperation and
yes, one would expect that, and I mean it is regretful that it does not happen. But different individuals come to the table with different personalities and different character traits, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You get married to a woman, she has a personality, she grew up in a different home, you grew up in a different home, you have your personalities, it starts out well, and then it comes to the point where you determine that it really cannot continue that way. I think
it's worse. How does it feel? I mean, you listen to a town hall meeting and you hear colleagues who were friends, who were, bashing each other politically and otherwise. This is really, as someone said, the NNP can just sit down and fold its arms and win the election because you'd be fighting each other.
I would not be fighting.
Okay.
The remainder of political energy that I have is to fight against the NNP.
Well, as you talked about that, NNP, who's the opposition spokesperson in youth, in fact, she said she's disturbed that the political crisis is only fueling further economic stagnation in Grenada and a terrible example for the youth to follow. She's concerned about this. Yeah. Terrible example for the youth to follow. Do you concur with that?
Say it again. The political
NNP. She's the NNP spokesperson on youth. Yes, and she said that what's happening, the political crisis, is fueling further economic stagnation of Grenada and a terrible example for the youth to follow.
Yes, I think it's a terrible example for the youth to follow.
Yeah,
I concur to that.
Okay,
it's not a good example. You see, wherever you have this type of division, is not something good to emulate. But at the same time, you must understand as young people must understand that where you have organizations with persons that share different philosophies, even if they come together for a common good, but share different philosophies along the way, then you'll have division. Now, how you treat with it is probably the outcome, and treating with it is what we should be looking at. And in other words, what I'm saying is that, notwithstanding that you have different philosophies, but as adults, as grown up, as persons with one vision, we should be able to deal with it and deal with it in a manner that would not have it overflowing as it did in our case. So I would say,
like your honesty. Now, the convention, obviously, and we need to go back on this. It's on Sunday. What major outcomes are you looking forward to from this convention?
Well, I think most importantly, we want to come out of the convention with a new sense of optimism, a new sense of hope for our membership as a unified group, with the feeling that we have put together a winning team and that we are ready for the election. We are ready to continue the mission that we set ourselves in 2008. I mean, that's essentially what we are looking for. So it means that we are looking forward to a very peaceful convention, a very lively convention, where we will pass important resolutions about the future of the party, where we would listen to a very important speech from the political leader as to the direction of the party, where we would exchange views and opinions on how we can improve our party's organizational readiness as we go to the elections.
We take a short break here. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. When we come back, it's wrap up.
Rockies Motors! Huge shots guaranteed! Guaranteed! No fish and finding Nemo! Wow! Ladies and gentlemen, behold the wonders of the deep!
This sucks. Yep.
We won't take you for a ride. Insurance is a promise to pay. At Beacon, we keep our promises.
Grenada, Jericho, and Piedmont, this one will be huge. Saturday, September 29, National Stadium. Brace yourself as Megaforce Promotions presents another Mega Bingo. Just spend $1 million. It's another Megaforce Promotions Mega Bingo. This time you can win $100,000 in cash, $100,000 in cold cash. Vibes just can't done with all this money. And here it is, your tickets cost only $50. First game starts at 6 p.m. Live band music, DJ Camus and Heavy D. Organize your posse now for this grand of year. $100,000 in cash money bingo to be won. Saturday, September 29th. Endorsed by Carib. Real beer is Carib.
Love the land you live on. The land is simply awesome and majestic. It feeds, clothes, and shelters us. The land protects us from the hurricane Ivans of the world. Provides clear crystal waters 24/7. Could you imagine life without the land? I want you to ask yourself this question. Why sadly around the world and in Grenada, lands are slowly dying, slowly dying. With our bad practices every day, my land, your land disappearing, is disappearing. Is what we call land degradation. It show up as soil erosion, coastal and loss of vegetation. That's how we degrade this Spice Island. With landslides, slippage and dying mangrove, to name a few. So here's what I want y'all to do. No one wins from land degradation. The power is in your hands to stop it today. Begin sustainable land management and love the land you live on.
Southern Waste Limited offers professional septic tank clearance at unbeatable prices. At Southern Waste Limited, you dump it, we pump it, and we also disinfect it. Located in River St. George's next to Steve's Auto, Southern Waste Limited for professional septic tank clearance. Also available, portable toilets, garbage collection, and garbage bins. Call us today, 435-DIRT. That is 435-3478. Southern Waste Limited. You dump it, we pump it.
Pure, clean, refreshing. A-Tang, premium purified water. Produced by the Grenada Bottling Company.
Welcome back, viewers. We're here with Honorable Nazim Burke and Honorable Patrick Simmons, and we are looking at the future of the NDC generally. Minister Burke, you know, I want to tell you this. Well, when you look at the situation, at the economic situation through the political vision, whether it's through the NNP or the NDC, you see different things. But through the eyes of a single mother who has 2 children, school age, she's not working, and she, although we have a free school book program, she's unable to come up with a $25 per child to obtain those books. And this is a real case, you know. So there's a free school book program, but the children does not have books because they can't afford the $25 to obtain the books. So how do we solve that?
That problem very easy to solve.
How?
You just talk to the principal.
Really?
Easy as that. And I'm talking, I know what I'm saying.
I can call your name. I can say that that the Honorable Patrick Simmons said so to speak to the principal.
Speak to the principal.
That this case happens in the happy area. This is a case.
Speak to the principal. And you can work out a plan.
Yeah.
Whether if it's $5 a month or $2 a month.
What she says is, look, the good governance agenda is not allowing me, affording me to have those books, although it's free. I don't have it. So this is so the child can have the books.
The Minister of Education has said this repeatedly.
But the mother is not aware of this. The mother is not aware of this. So I will personally carry that message, Minister. But the transformation agenda, the so-called transformation sectors, briefly, what's the status? And we're talking about the agribusiness and the ICT, ITC, the health education, wellness services, energy development. Any major success in any of these sectors, so that you think is appropriate that you register here?
Well, yes. Let me say that in respect of the 5 sectors, the first thing we have to do is identify those sectors, agree that those sectors are the sectors that will transform the economy.
Do you have this agreement already? You said
that's the first thing.
We need to agree
as a nation.
As a nation.
Not just a government, but as a nation, yes. Yeah. And then we must agree, private sector, government sectors, we must agree that we're going to commit resources to it, and that we're going to rally as a nation to realize the opportunities that exist.
Yeah.
In the area of health and wellness, for example, we've said that we see the construction of a hospital, a public hospital, a world-class hospital, as something that is central to the opportunities that can be presented for health and wellness in the country.
Are you having cooperation with the School of Medicine on this initiative?
We are having cooperation with them. We have actually started the process, as you perhaps know already. We have hired the International Financial Corporation. They are the consultants that will be working with us, that are working with us for the design, financing, and all of the construction and everything in relation to the hotel, to the hospital, I'm sorry. The bid documents have been prepared and now been reviewed, all of the legal documents. We expect that tenders will happen next month, so that the work is ongoing in relation to the hospital. And we see this as important because what's going to happen is, once this hospital is finished, many of the persons who have offered to build boutique-type hospitals and clinics around the country offering specialized services will feel more encouraged to come to Grenada to set up these facilities, because they know if in the provision of services something were to go wrong in their clinic, there's a world-class hospital to which they can send the patients immediately to get appropriate care. We've had expressions of interest to set up fertility clinics in Grenada, to set up cosmetic surgery facilities, elective surgery facilities, drug rehabilitation centers for high net worth individuals. So all of these facilities will come if we have the right kind of hospital. And that is what is now.
So that core is like critical.
Yes. The same is true for tourism. We've said before, and when we presented the budget, that we are working on the construction of a Four Seasons hotel.
What is this?
It is almost there.
We've been hearing this for a long time. Is it?
We did say that at the time that we were not going to, in the budget presentation, we were not going to give the particulars because we didn't have the concreteness as it were. We didn't want to give a false sense of hope, but we said a 5-star international hotel.
So this remains.
That is still true. We are still working feverishly to make it happen, and I feel confident that we should be hearing some good news.
I'm looking at my time. The $8.5 million received from the mainland China, is this campaign money? Is this money? Well, let me rephrase this question. It's being alleged that this discretionary $8.5 million some 23 million Eastern Caribbean dollars that we received from mainland China is going to be used primarily for influencing the election.
I'm so sorry.
How soon is this money going to be
started? I have not even heard that we received it.
No, but you signed an agreement to receive this discretionary fund.
No, it's not a discretionary fund.
Well, discretionary in that it's for community
for projects to be agreed upon between the government of Grenada and the government of China. This is not party money.
No, not party money. I'm not suggesting party money. I didn't say party money.
Cash. It's not cash. You see, these are projects that will be financed by.
How soon will this come?
Well, we can't say. We have to first agree.
Can you do the bushing program with these funds? Would it be considered?
Well, I don't think that is the intent. I don't think it is intended that you will do the bushing program. The expectation is you will identify projects that will have an impact, a longer lasting
we have
community impact.
Final words on the convention coming up.
We want to encourage as many persons as possible throughout Grenada to come and be with us. Come and experience the revival and rejuvenation of our party. Come and get the sense of the unity that we feel within the party at this particular point. Come and get the appreciation of how much we rally around the leader of the party, that how determined we are to complete our mission that we've started, and realize that a winning team has been put together, is being put together, and that we are on the verge of something very good as far as the revitalization of our party is concerned.
Gentlemen, that's all the time we have. I want to thank you for your openness, candidness, and honesty. Thank you very much. Viewers, that's all the time we have. We regret about our telephone lines, communication. We hope, however, next week that they would be up and running. Again, thanks for being here. Have a good evening. Bye-bye. Gentlemen.